Hello, Dave Dog here. This is our season review, season 5 here at Bradford Park Avenue in our Road to Glory save. We'll first of all look at the transfer business we did during this season. We brought in quite a few players over the season, not paying any fees for them. First one, the 3rd of July, was Fred Ngoy. You've got to say he's not been too bad a signing. He's been up and down twice, been fined for being out late at night on a bender as such and not turning up for training. He's still a young man, 20 years old. I think there's probably more to come from him, but we'll definitely find out this in the coming season. Played 38 games, 4 goals, 8 assists, 4 player of the matches and a 6.93 average. Tom Timofeyevs was loaned from Crewe, right back. Started off pretty well, had a bit of a quiet period and we brought Lucas Dunstan back in. So 24 games, 3 assists, 6.64 is average. So not quite good enough for me, and we'll be looking for an improvement in that position. Sam Parker, another loan player, centre back from Halifax, another one that promised so much but didn't really fulfil that promise. 14 appearances, 6.55, and that got to be classed as poor. George Pratt, central defender, or we used him as a defensive midfielder. Not a bad player. Would have kept this player, but he's one of the ones that won't sign a new contract and probably leaving the club. 31 appearances, 3 goals, 1 assist for a 6.9 average. That's pretty good. So a good signing. We're a bit disappointed that he won't stick around. Bryn Morris started off really good. Never played at this level before. Most of his experience League 1, League 2. Declining though, 31-year-old, 2.5 star. If we look at his stats for the season, 29 appearances, 1 goal, 2 assists, 6.73. I think most of that marks would come from his early performances. He's under contract to us for another season, but I'm going to try and move him on because if we look at his contract, wage after reaching 30 games, he's played 29 games and he would get a 50% pay rise if he plays another game for us. So not that good a player that we're going to pay a 50% pay rise. It's showing us the current value of 90,000. If we can get half of that, I would be pleased, or even a tenth of it. We've never received any payments for any players. Next one, Jim Sims, found his form towards the end of the season, finished as our second top scorer. 21 games, 12 goals, so that's more than 1 in 2. 3 assists and 2 player of the matches, 6.88. So we're hoping for a big season from him. If we can get a partner in of a similar star rating, similar ability, then we should do well. Tate Trusty, another one I'd say was a good signing. A left midfielder, but we played him as a shadow striker and he took to that position really well. He's under contract for next year. 22 games, 5 goals, 2 assists, 6.85 average, and he could only get better. So those were the players we signed during the season. Since then, I mentioned in the last episode, we'd signed a Man United youth player, right back Scott Francis, current ability 2 stars. We'll just use a yellow, potential ability 3.5 star. We've signed him to be a right back, but can also play midfield as well. The only problem with Scott Francis is that we could only sign him on a non-contract basis. He wouldn't sign a full part-time contract, and he could be taken from us. Maybe use him as a backup if we can sign somebody better. The latest one that we signed is a new goalkeeper, Will W-Y-L-L Stanway, 26 years old, sweeper keeper. He's 3.5 star, just a little bit better than Tom McCauley with 4-star potential ability. Tom McCauley's got 5-star potential ability, so a bit more experienced. It'll be a battle between those two to see who is the number one, although we've got him in as, if we look at his contract, he's on £220 a week and I put him down as a backup. Or he said himself he was going to be a backup, so I'm not going to argue with that. But there's every chance, should he play well in pre-season, that he will be our number one. He's come from Chester, so he's played plenty of games at Chester, and they're a fairly decent team at our level, at 6.95, 6.97, and going down at 6.65. I think he lost his place during this season. But 14 games, 12 conceded, 5 clean sheets, not bad at all, and we'll see how he does in pre-season. So transfers out, mainly young players, some that I've not even mentioned on the save. Matalon, Santos, Jepson, Ablehev, Conrad Porritt and Contala Toho. They went out on loan. Every chance that these two may stay with us. Their contracts are up for renewal. Nicholas Hilton, Linton Topless, Josh Jones Davidson, Lucas Adunston has left us. He went on a free to Halezone just before the end of the season. So, long-term player. We're left with one original player with us. I'm pleased to say Sam Fielding has signed a new contract and will be with us next season. The latest one to go is Fulston Win Farrow. So if we look at released players, all those were really last season, 30th of June, the contracts ended. Ahmed Zondo, Finn O'Boyle, Will Longbottom, Abontoma and Kwanzaa. Michael Jacobs has retired at the end of this season. That's the only one really during the season that's been released. There will be some more when we come to the contracts towards the end of the squad planning. I'll go through those. But let's move on to the results then. So a bit of an up and down season. We had spells where we played well. We had spells where we couldn't score. In the end, quite comfortably escaped relegation, but nowhere near getting into mid-table or around the playoffs. We opened up with a 3-1 win against newly promoted Marine, and then went through 8 games without a win, and then we had 3 successive wins. We thought things were coming together. Spennymoor 1-0 at home, 4-2 against Ratcliffe in the Cup, 3-0 away at Blythe, and followed that up with a draw at Hensford in the Cup. We lost the replay, so we went out of the FA Cup in the 3rd qualifying round. Then again, 7 games without a win before we beat Fylde at home 2-0. Fylde challenging at the top of the table. So how we can put these performances in and not win some of these other games is one of the mysteries. We just need to be more consistent. So with those 2 draws, we had 4 draws and 2 wins, 6 games without defeat. Then another 3 losses. That's a friendly, the one against Warrington, a draw against Needham Market, and a win against Leamington. So we were beating the teams or drawing with the teams around us near the bottom of the table. The occasional win against higher placed teams. Just look through at the wins. 2-1 against Leamington, 1-0 away at Kings Lynn. That was a good performance. Disastrous 5-0 home defeat to champions South Shields. 4-1 home win against Gainsborough. 1-0 against Gloucester, were relegated. 3-2 against Macclesfield. Then towards the end of the season, we thought we'd cracked it. We went 6 games without a defeat, 4 wins and 2 draws, including 3 in a row. And the pick of those was a 2-0 win away at Chorley. Just look into the details of that one. And pretty even game, except that we took our chances. 3 shots on target each. 0.99 XG for them, 0.88 for us. Lovick and Pratt scoring, but Macaulay having a great game and keeping out Chorley. That's probably our performance of the season. But we finished off the season with 2 defeats to teams near the bottom. Needham Market relegated and Leamington just escaping. As the goal of the season, I've picked out this one, the only goal from Bryn Morris, and here it is. Headed out, clearance, takes it under control, shoots in from about 10 yards outside the box, and what a strike that was. Right, we'll have a quick look at the finances. As you can see, our balance sheet is showing minus 326,330, and it's been a steady outgoing throughout last season and throughout this season. If we look at the last season figure, that's the one appertaining to the playing season, 198,000 loss. And if we look into the figures more, let's look at the expenditure first of all. And again, we're looking at the last season figures because the cut-off's been done. If we look at players' wages, 251,000, staff wages, 157,000, and scouting costs, 65,000. We're talking like 470,000 plus there going out in those 3 costs. It's only what they're budgeting, so really the budget doesn't fit the income. So if you look at the income, the main income being gate receipts of 163,000. Then we get other match day income, which is nearly as much from, I don't suppose, snack bars and whatever, 107,000. So we're getting in 270,000. So that we've got a £200,000 deficit there. Other things coming in, we've got a grant. I don't know who's balancing the books here, but certainly they aren't, because we wouldn't be in this situation with a loss of 326,000. Basically, we're spending more than we're earning. That can only go on for so long. If we look at the projection is that we'll be 727,000 in the red by the end of another 2 seasons, over double the debt. So they're predicting 190,000 loss for next season and 210 for the following season. So where this money is going to come from, I just don't know. They can't continue to get bank loans. We're not getting any money for players. For me, if I was running the finances, I would strip it back to the bone, pay less wages, get young players in, but I'm going on what the board says. And if they say I can spend so much money, it's not my fault if they get the sums wrong. The main driver, as in real life with Bradford Park Avenue, is crowds. They're only getting just over 500 average crowd, and they probably need at least double that to start making some money. But we'll see how it goes, see if some money men come in. We've already had a takeover last season. I can't see anything further. It's just going to go, as that projection says, closer to £1 million in the red. They must have a very forgiving bank. And just as a final roundup on the season, we'll run through the player stats. Top goal scorer, Callum Stead with 17. Highest average rating, Tom Sams, 7.1. Most assists, Fred Ngoy with 9. Best pass completion, Carter Denson, 92%. A bigger sample size is probably have been someone else that would have got that statistic of best pass completion. Most player of the match awards, Callum Stead with 7. Most yellow cards in the Naughty Boys Club, George Pratt with 11 yellow cards and Tom Sams with 2 red cards. And the team stats, 66 goals scored, which was the 11th best. Goals conceded, 86, the 3rd worst, we've already mentioned previously. That is an area that definitely needs attention. Yellow cards, 51, 11th again, so middle in the table of that. 4 red cards, the 6th worst. And our average attendance, 556, is the 4th worst. So that's the problem we're up against, as we've mentioned in the finances. The wage budget, 6,819 a week, and we've committed spending of 4,076 for next season. So plenty of room in the wage budget, although that may be cut if someone gets their mathematical head on with the budgets. So we'll just have a quick look back how we've gone on these 5 years. Last year, 26-27, we finished 18th, 46 played, 14 won, 12 drawn, 20 lost, 66 for, and a massive 86 against, giving us our worst goal difference of -20 and 54 points. If we look back, we can see that 18th is a common theme. We've finished 18th 3 times, 19th once, and the highest position, the heady heights of 13, 61 points. Not a bad season points wise, but certainly shipped in too many goals. We're going to have to try and do something about that and get some better defenders in. So this is our best 11 for last season, and it just shows where our strengths lie. We've got 2 players on the bench, Jim Sims and Tate Trusty, recent signings, who can't get in the best 11. I'm not sure myself who I'd pick. They've gone for Stead up front with his 17 goals against Sims' 12. This is their take on the team of the season. Can't disagree with the back 6 too much. Keeper is a foregone conclusion. Tom McCauley, 51 appearances, ever present, 6.82. So right back, we've got a Dunstan. He forced his way back in there after we'd lost faith with Timofeyevs. He left us later on the season after making a fine 215 career appearances for us. The central defensive partnership being Tom Sams and Sam Fielding. Connor Ferguson at left back. In front of those, Bryn Morris and George Pratt. It's the front 4 where you could have put either of those other 2 of them previously mentioned in, but we've got Truman as a number 10. Fine 10 goals for him. He did play up front as well when we changed to 2 forwards. Ngoy on the right side. Skipper Lovick on the left. Lovick getting 5 goals. He was ever present also, 51 appearances. Ngoy, 40 appearances, 4 goals. Plenty of goals up there compared to other areas of the team anyway. And Callum Stead gets the nod. 17 goals from 50 appearances, just 1 game he didn't play in. Unlucky to be on the bench. Jim Sims, 12 goals from 20, so better than 1 in 2. And Tate Trusty, I hope there's a lot more to come from him, 5 goals from 21. Other players on the bench, Harding, Parker, Timofeyev's the two loanees, Parker and Timofeyev. Alex Williams, Tate trusted Jason Tuffey and Jim Sims. So we know where the weaknesses are, and that's where we'll be looking in the transfer market. That's our best 11. See how they fit up with the overall best 11. Samson and Dunstan are in there, Fielding and Ferguson. So the back five are pretty much fixed, or have been, and that's probably our problem, that we need somebody better. We've already signed a keeper. Whether he becomes the number one will be up to how Tom McCauley fares in the pre-season. So we've got Truman in a defensive midfield role in our best 11, and Lovick. So all the back players here from last season's team, but nobody making the best 11 overall in the front four positions. They are Harrison Hopper, Finn O'Boyle, Will Longbottom and David Hamed. Definitely two of those players I would have kept if it was possible, being Longbottom and Hamed. But that's a story we've told before. On the bench on the overall team, George Sykes Kenworthy, current player at Bradford Park Avenue. Abontahoma, another one didn't want to lose. Staunton, another one we didn't want to lose. Brad Doherty, Alex Williams, Jamie Spencer and Carter Denson. So those are the best 11 for this season and overall. Let's now have a look at our squad planner and see how we're shaping up and who we're going to need in the transfer market for next season. So here we are then on the 10th of June, some time to go yet before the pre-season friendly start. This is how we're looking at the moment for players. The new keeper, Will Stanway, will be challenging Tom McCauley for the number one spot. Not a lot in it for them, just a bit more experienced is Stanway. We've still got Brandon Barber with us. He's signed another contract again, and he possibly might go out on loan this season. Right back, we've got Scott Francis, who we signed, youth player from Manchester United. Only 2 stars, but got potential, possible 3.5. We're only counting the yellows now. And we've got 19-year-old Regan Seed, 1.5 star. Basically, we need somebody in above these two with a bit more talent and experience. Centre back, we've got Sam Fielding re-signed. He's our leading appearance maker with 229. He's only showing us 2 star, but he's playing well above that. He played above that last season, had quite a good season. We've also got 20-year-old Mark Harding as backup at 1.5 stars. The other centre-back position, left-sided, we've got nobody. Sams is not signing a new contract as of yet. I would re-sign him, but we need 1, maybe 2. If he signs 1, if he doesn't sign Sams, we definitely need 2 more central defenders, and be it on loan, although we have not had much luck with loan players in the central defensive department. Left-back, Connor Ferguson has signed a new contract, and he is our only out-and-out left-back. He did improve during last season, but then went back to his old form towards the end. And again, we're looking at an experienced, better quality left-back coming in front of him. Defensive midfielder, again, this is somewhere we need somebody. We need players in lots of positions. Jason Tuffey's in there at 1.5 star. I wouldn't want to go in playing him as our number 1 in that position. Central midfielder right, we've moved Harry Lovick into this position because of our riches in the wings. He's 2 star. Alex Williams has played well in some games, but he seems to lack the experience. Who knows, he could come on. He's in there at the moment. So we've got 2, and then we've got backup from Toho, who was out on loan last season and did quite well in the Portuguese 2nd division. He's 1.5 stars. So again, if we could sign somebody above those, then Toho might go out on loan again. Right winger, Fred Ngoy, 3 stars. Callum Stead, 2.5 stars. Again, if we can get somebody better, but I'd be happy to go in with those 2. On the left, nobody at the moment. We had Lovick out there, and we've got a possibility of Trusty, but he's showing in this attacking midfield, a shadow striker role, which he did quite well in towards the end of the season. And up front, we've got Jim Sims, who was scoring more than a goal every other game. 23 years old, only on a wage of 140. The problem is, if he has a good season, we may have trouble hanging on to him. Back up to him, Conrad Porritt. He was out on loan, or he is still out on loan. It doesn't end till 30th of June. He's 2 star, and a possibility is saying attacking midfielder, but he's played mainly as a striker. So again, that's somewhere where we need either a backup to Jim Sims, or if we could get somebody 4 star, 5 star. So that is how we are at the moment. We're going to carry on with the tactic that we've been using. We were scoring goals. My reasoning is if we get some better defenders, we can stop the goals going in at the other end and get more wins on the board. So there we are, that's the squad as it stands. So I said I'd update you with the playoffs, and this is how we left it on the last day of the season after we had lost in a best of 8 goal shootout against Leamington. We went then to the playoffs. First round, Banbury 2, Peterborough Sports 0. So Peterborough Sports sneaked into the playoffs in the last day of the season. Fylde 3, Guiseley 2. Oh dear, Guiseley knocked out also. So Banbury and Fylde going through to play the second and third place teams. And it was Chorley 1, Fylde 2 after extra time. And Scarborough 1, Banbury 1, with Banbury winning on penalties. And Scarborough having a man sent off after 76 minutes. Banbury equalising on 85, so that's sending off, costing them dearly. So the final then between Fylde and Banbury, and it was Fylde 0, Banbury 1. So Banbury, with a 5th place finish in the league, are promoted with South Shields. I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you have, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll see you next time, where we'll hopefully have a better idea of our squad and some signings in to strengthen it. We'll have a look at how we've gone on in the friendlies. This is Dave Dog. Goodbye for now.